Okay everyone, happy Homebrew Wednesday. I'm going to be tasting a beer by Nathan McKenzie tonight. Just having a cheeky quiet one here. Nathan gave this to me a couple of weeks ago. He's called it Happy Valley American Pale Ale, and I believe the Sierra Nevada clone. Yep. Now, Nathan emailed me last night to say that he's really upset because all the hop character has been stripped from it, and it's not the beer it was, and which is ironic because the week before that, the beer that I gave Nathan, I sent him an email saying, hey, I've just tried it, but the hop character's been stripped out once I bottled it. A little bit upset, you know, it's not the beer it was. But basically, I think what's just happened is it's just, these are a normal process that happens in a hoppy beer, and some of those initial hop aromas, they disappear, and anyhow, that's life, and you know, you're not going to have that amazing hop aroma forever, so cherish it while you can. So tonight, let's crank into this, do it some justice. I'll just open it up now, off camera. Oh, nice little hiss. Certainly smells good. 750ml, generous portion. And would you look at that? Beautiful and clear. That'll do. Very nice. Well, I can tell you straight away, Nathan, that it probably doesn't have the hop aroma that it did initially, but there's certainly a very good hop aroma there. So let's get into it and have a little taste. Cool. Alright, so in terms of clarity, reasonably clear. You wouldn't be too upset with that, would you? It's been a while since I've had a Sierra Nevada. It is a little bit lighter on the hops, as you said, Nathan, but there's absolutely nothing wrong with that at all. It's still got a nice hop profile there. Actually, as a matter of fact, some people just are a little bit crazy on hops at times, and I think that's certainly very approachable. Not the biggest head, but having said that, more room in the glass for beer. That's one way of looking at it. Certainly excellent carbonation. Very good. Very balanced beer. Anyhow, just doing a little bit of brew, nothing too major in terms of review. It's because we can take these things way too serious, can't we? Anyhow, this week I want to show you the latest update on my beer bottling system, and also just a couple of words in regards to the SJ Pour Challenge, which has just been released, the criteria, what's it all going to be about. So anyhow, first things first, let's have a look at the latest development in the bottle filling department. Okay everyone, so here it is, the latest addition to the bottle filling department. So if you can remember, Paul Wicksteed recommended that I have a 2-metre hose, long hose, and as a result of that I won't lose any, I won't get too much froth, and as a result I won't lose too much CO2, which is the issue. So I've got my old redundant tap that I never used on the front here. Over the back is, it's wound up, but this comes out. That's the beer line. Turn it back around here, and if we open up the inside, see that? Basically what I've got here is, let's pull it out. So I just a little bit of plastic crap here, but anyhow, it's not quite tidied up yet. But basically I just took some aluminium and I drilled some holes and I wound the plastic through it. And the thoughts there is just so that I can, see that there? So I can get the ice around it and the cold water. And it'll keep it nice and cold. Hopefully it's not too bendy. Hopefully that doesn't have an impact on the CO2. If somebody knows anything about that, please let me know. And so effectively, what I can then do is, I'm just going to go get it. The other part of it, which I can attach to it to flush it with CO2. But I've basically got myself a nice little mobile chiller unit, which also dubs as a bottle filler. Anyhow, I'm going to go get the gas stuff and I'll bring it over and then you can have a look at that as well. Okay, so here's pretty much how it works. I've got an old bottling wand that I've attached to my tap. Bottle goes in. I'll probably put a little pressure valve type thing on there, you know, the bottle filler. CO2 line goes in, and here it is here. It's a bit tricky, I've got one hand, but I can just, see, flush it with CO2, turn it out, and then I'll take that line out and then I'll fill it with beer. I may attach this somehow, but I do want it so that this, it's actually 2 units in one, so I'll just think about something there. So, that's pretty much how it works. Dual purpose. I'm pretty wrapped. I have not tried it out yet, so we'll have to just wait and see if it works. But fingers crossed. So anyhow, that's where the bottling system's at, and I'm going to bottle a Saison that I've got in the fridge this weekend, and I'll show some footage of it, and we'll see if the system works or not. Saison will naturally be quite foamy. It's, if you don't know much about that beer, it's a pretty heady beer. Anyhow, moving on. Time for a beer. It's not that bad, Nathan, by the way. I don't even so worried about it. Anyhow, moving on. Hey, it doesn't have any faults, and I can tell you that. I've just been doing a beer fault course halfway through it. I'll tell you about it when we get to then. Diverging, off course. Right. This week, SJ Pour Challenge was released. If you don't know what it was about, basically, I mean, you do know what it's about. Of course you do, because you're watching this thing. It's basically brew your best beer. So it's really open. You can do anything you want. So if you were like myself and wanted to use regional ingredients only, then go for it. If you want to use extract, because that's what you're into, then use extract. It just doesn't matter. It's open. Anything you want to do. And the idea is that we'll have winners within regions. And then those winning beers, or top 6 beers, whatever the criteria is in the end, will be shipped around the world. People will review them, and in theory we will end up with the world's best beer, in theory. And I'm excited about this, because basically it really just means you can do whatever you want. And it was really clever on SJ and whoever else decided on this, because well, everyone's happy now, because you just do what you want to do. So it puts me in a dilemma, because what do I do? Do I submit my best beer, which is a beer that I've been working on probably about 7 iterations or variations of that beer, an IPA that I brew here? Do I enter that, because in theory that is my best beer? Now the thing is that it's not a wow beer. It's a great beer. It's a very nice beer, but it's not a wow beer. It wouldn't win a competition. It wouldn't, because you know I've got to appeal to some guy sitting in his living room in the UK, if I ever got to that point, and blow his socks off. Probably someone who's quite happy, and who their best beer would actually be a brilliant session ale, probably more malt driven than hop driven, because for someone in the UK, that's part of their culture, it's part of the beer style that they drink. I don't know. What do I do? So do I go against that and not actually submit my best beer, but create something that will knock the socks off somebody? These are dilemmas that I have and questions that I have, and I don't know the answer. I haven't really decided what I'm going to do. I'll wait and see what other people are thinking about this. But on the note of the world's best beer, I don't know if any of you guys watched a thing called TED Talks, but there's a great TED Talk by a guy called Malcolm Gladwell, and he talks about spaghetti sauces, which is really interesting. It's interesting because effectively there was a food scientist in the 70s, a guy called Howard Moscovich. And Pepsi approached Howard Moscovich in the 70s, just when the artificial sweeteners were coming out, and they said to him, we want you to create the most perfect Pepsi, as in the perfect amount of sweetness in the Pepsi. And Howard thought this would be very simple. He thought, well, what you would do is you would just take a whole lot of people and you would put a percentage range of sweetener in each of the Pepsis, and then you would just find there'll be a natural curve and there'll be a cluster of sweetness that which most people would prefer. It seemed like a fairly simple experiment. Anyhow, what happened in that experiment was they found out that there wasn't like a natural curve and a cluster of just what everybody liked. There were actually random clusters. And so what Howard Moscovich did was he went back to Pepsi and he said, there's actually no such thing as the perfect Pepsi, but there are perfect Pepsis. And what this means is effectively that there are different types of levels of sweetness that appeal to different types of people. Now this is important because before this time nobody had ever thought of the fact that there is actually, they thought there was the plutonic Pepsi, there was the ultimate food, there was the ultimate, and this guy Howard Moscovich applied the same process to a tomato sauce company that came to him. They said, look, we've got this amazing tomato sauce, pasta sauce, yeah, and they said we want to make the ultimate pasta sauce, and he said there is no such thing as the ultimate pasta sauce, but there are ultimate pasta sauces. Of course, at this time they'd never heard of anything like that. So what Howard Moscovich did was he made a whole range of different types of pasta sauces, chunky and spicy and smooth and extra herby and everything, and he gave, I think it was about 51 different types, and he gave them out there. And actually what came back was there were some people who liked their tomato sauce all smooth, and there were some people who had their tomato sauce that was spicy, and there were some people who liked their tomato sauce chunky for their pasta. Now the really interesting thing about that was that basically you could group people into three categories of pasta sauce. The thing about that was interesting, until that point in time, nobody had ever made chunky pasta tomato sauce. Nobody had even asked the question that does it exist. And all of a sudden, I can't remember the name of the company, they started producing chunky tomato sauce for a whole range of people that had never experienced it before. And this is the point. The point is that there is actually no such thing as a perfect beer. Probably going down like a cup of sick right now. There are perfect beers. There are certain types of beer styles that people prefer. There are people who, if the ultimate beer that comes out of this competition is a stout, there will be people out there who will say, well, it's not the world's best beer because I don't even drink stout. I don't even touch the stuff. And when you actually look into, breaking down the segments of people in different categories, what they actually find is if you ask what is, say, this is the world's best tomato sauce, at best you'll get 60% of people saying, yeah, that's actually a really good tomato sauce. If you break it down into the market segments, you'll actually get, say you go chunky and spicy and whatever, the best result you get is about 70% of people say that is brilliant. So, these are some of the challenges that we have with the SG4 challenge, in terms of the fact that, at best, according to the science, only 60% of us will say, actually, that's a fantastic beer. If we were to split it into categories of stouts and IPAs and Irish Reds or whatever they may be, we could probably get, maybe 70% of people would say, actually, that really is a fantastic stout, that is the best stout, or that is the best IPA. Anyhow, enough of that. I'm going to leave the link to that talk below. You can watch it if you want, but there is no such thing as the plutonic beer. But that doesn't matter, because we're going to do it, we're going to have fun, and it's going to be a hell of a thing to watch. Anyhow, that is enough from me this week. That's a bit of a rant. Next week, what is in store? This. It's a counter pressure bottle filler that one of the guys at Local Homebrew Club has kindly lent me. So I might film trying to use that and how it works, and we have a bit of discussion around that. But enough from me.